like
thing.
20 of you guys in a room and you're all experts in Mesopotamia, etc., would you guys be duking it out? Like, would you all be disagreeing? Because this is
Uh,
common among people, when you're talking about these vagaries of history.
so that's a good question. And yes and no is the answer. And actually, this is something that I go into in a fair amount of detail in the book. Um, because there is this idea, I think, among people that are outside of the field of like biblical studies that think, well, they all disagree about everything. And so, those liberal scholars, those critical scholars, they can't even agree amongst themselves. So we should just stick with what the Bible says, here in English. Um, so the problem is that most, if you were to put 20 scholars in a room and say, how was the Pentateuch, for example, how was the first five books of the Bible, how were they put together? How were they formed? All 20 are going to agree on a whole lot of foundational things, right? Not written by Moses, written it, over an extensive period of time by a bunch of different people, um, or several different people. There are different traditions that go into it that are kind of brought together and edited and then re-edited. They're all going to agree on those things. Where they're going to duke it out are the minutia, right? Well, I think actually that the way this worked is there's this early recension that gets, um, but they're not going to be disagreeing on stuff like, did Moses write it? There's no question about that one. So, I think it's important for us to recognize that the reason that scholars disagree is often not because of these core foundational to them elementary things that you can't do any more research without agreeing on because it's just the data is clear.